Hi, I'm Pamela Resurrection. I'm head of the Office of Quality Assurance Management Services of the Mindanao State University Ilican Institute of Technology. My project is to develop MSU-IIT's Academic Quality Assurance Framework. We currently have a quality management system which covers both academic processes and non-academic processes. But this particular framework, which is documented in a manual, focuses on academics-related QA. The goal of the project is twofold. First is to develop a common understanding and appreciation of quality assurance, and to harmonize all quality assurance initiatives of the university. It pursues this through the development of this framework. And to come up with this output, the project set out the following objectives. The first is to organize a QA framework technical working group. The second, which is what the project is mainly all about, is to draft the MSU-IIT's academic QA framework. And the third objective is to conduct validation meetings with concerned parties within MSU-IIT's academic cluster. Accordingly, the key activities proceeded as follows. The first thing that was addressed was the creation of the QA framework TWG. Upon the creation of this group, part of their onboarding was an orientation on QA and the various related assurances and QA initiatives of the university, particularly highlighting the ones pertaining to external accreditation. With the goal of engaging them and to further their understanding of the various QA and quality management frameworks we are operating with, I assigned each of them one reference to study, and then later on, we met again for them to present the different elements of the frameworks. We did a quick workshop on clustering the elements into common themes to constitute the considerations when coming up with our QA framework. After that, we parked the themes for a while and embarked on e-benchmarking of QA manuals of different universities. The objective of the exercise was to familiarize with the observable form of the QA manual, as well as to learn what we deem as good practices. After deciding on the parameters of the QA framework, the actual writing of the manual started. And after the manual took form, validation consultations with stakeholders were conducted, from which a good number of additional inputs were curated. The last key activity is the finalization of the proposed academic QA framework. Carrying out the project was relatively not easy at all. There were challenges along the way. One of this, which is I think expected when dealing with several parties and stakeholders, is convening them, getting them to be together. This difficulty was caused by issues on availability. It was difficult to find a common time for them to be available, which is in part due to the size of their current workload. While they were willing, they have prior engagements and activities that they also need to take care of. And on my part, I had to be mindful of this when setting meeting schedules, which gives me limited options, thus prolonging the project. Also, in some respect, mobility constraint was also a factor where movements to personally engage with people was deemed valuable and seen as a better way of reaching out. And related to this is the online meeting modality which was resorted to. While it has its advantages, there were times when you just can't have the people be mentally and emotionally present. As you know, online platforms can disguise or obscure your other preoccupations. The pandemic brought about many overlapping meetings. Sometimes when we meet, some of them has to listen in to 2 meetings. Another challenge was the stakeholders' awareness and familiarity of various QA references. And because of this, time had to be allotted for them to study and be oriented. And at this time when people are coping with the new normal, I sense that, it was an additional task and burden for a number of them. So these challenges were addressed by conducting online and small group meetings, using different communication platforms such as emails, social media group chats, and the like. Collaborative tools were also used such as Google Docs and the Mural app to make up for the time that they could not get people together. So in a way, we were able to work asynchronously. And to address the limited awareness and familiarity of QA references, a quick orientation was conducted. Fortunately, the academic QA framework is ready for APC endorsement and subsequently for the approval of the Board of Regents. In the process of completing this project, I'd like to believe that somehow, to some degree, our university, particularly those with key influence on QA, attained a clarified perspective on and a common understanding of quality and quality assurance. The conversations also gave us the opportunity to reflect on current QA practices and to share best practices. So at the moment, we now have an available reference to guide everyone in the university in assuring quality of academic-related activities. There are always takeaways in all our undertakings if we include moments of reflection. And for this project, I have some. One is stakeholder engagement is essential when introducing change. And by engagement, I am referring to engaging them in dialogues and conversations aimed at building co-ownership of the goals of the project. I think this will increase their participation in the various tasks that may be given to them. Another lesson that I learned is mindful framing of messages. In order to draw in stakeholders of the project, I strived for positively framed communication because I think that if there is some resistance or hesitation, we have to reassure them that the project is for a good cause and it will make their work life easier and more meaningful. Tasks for the project, for example, are already an additional load, and if I have to verbalize the situation in a way that would emphasize this further, well, it would likely demotivate them. Words have great influence, so mindfulness in framing was something that I was able to experiment and practice during the project. Another lesson learned is very basic, and that is the importance of action planning. It really puts things and tasks in perspective, and when I got overwhelmed with multitasks, the PAP was there to direct me back on track. I also learned, maybe a bit the hard way, the value of agile response to circumstances you did not expect to happen but did happen. I was kind of slow at times, partly because of other concerns, and this contributed to delays in the project implementation. And finally, and I think this is a very important lesson, is building relationships is key. Building social capital is vital because a lot of projects, a lot of undertakings that are introducing change involves many stakeholders who can help you or prevent you make the change happen. They have to trust you for them to cooperate and collaborate with you. And building positive relationships will, in parallel, build that trust. If there will be projects again in the future, allotting time to do focused work on the project would help in completing it. And also deliberately recruiting project team members. This is one instance where relationships are critical because those who you know could really work and contribute, they will not refuse your invitation to join the team. For next steps concerning the project output, the proposed QA framework will be presented to the Academic Planning Council for endorsement to the Board of Regents. It will also be disseminated to all concerned once approved. Aside from that, continual engagement of academic heads and others concerned in conversations on QA will be done. Also, monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of the QA framework will be carried out, and based on the results of the monitoring and evaluation, initiates necessary enhancements. It has certainly been a wonderful learning opportunity for me. I hope you were also able to harvest some insights from our experience of developing a QA framework. Thanks for watching.